Well, hello and happy new year to you all. If you are listening to this in real time, it is now January of 2025. And of course, with the new year, with the transition from one year to another, we've got in the United States a presidential transition coming up, which I'm not going to talk about today. It is a time of newness and a time when a lot of people are setting new goals, new intentions, resolutions, if you choose to do that. And what I want to talk about today is something that I think we're all seeking, but we aren't all aware of the word. And it's a concept that I really want to nail down and dive into because I think it's really, truly what so many of us are seeking. And that word is integration. The idea of integration is really about being present and being connected to yourself and to the others around you, feeling like you show up as a complete person. When I talk to so many physicians, we tend to focus initially on the things that are not going well, the things that are struggles for us, right? We have too many patients to see. We have too much work in our inbox. We have too many notes to complete, right? We have a big backlog. We have not enough staff. We have all of these challenges, and they are very real. I'm not discounting that at all. But we have this sense that if all that garbage could go away, I would feel fine. I would feel better. And I wouldn't be struggling the way that I am. And that's not quite true. What's really going on there, outside of the challenges that we face as physicians in a broken healthcare system, is that for so many of us, we are very disconnected from ourselves. After years and years of training, of being told to put our own needs and wants aside and always put our patients first, always put our clinics, our hospitals, the greater good first, throw in there if you're socialized as a woman in this country, right? And again, there's like a double down message of other people's happiness always comes first. All of that focus, all of that drive takes you out of being connected to yourself, to your own emotions, to your own body, to your own needs. How many of us are walking around wishing that we could feel better, wishing that we could finally, get our act together, and be taking care of ourselves, sleeping better, moving more, eating a healthier, more balanced diet, things like that. And yet we feel like all of this stuff that's outside of us is in the way. And we are socialized and conditioned to believe, again, that all of those other things need to be fixed before we can feel better. Our healthcare system is a problem. And I'm not denying that. If you've listened to me speak about this before, you know I am full force on board with changes that need to happen within the practice of medicine, within the business of medicine, with the way insurance companies operate. However, we cannot afford as individuals to wait until all of that is fixed before we feel better. When we think that we need to wait until all those things are corrected before we can take steps to feel more connected and integrated to ourselves, we are staying in victim mode. We are continuing to give power to these external forces, and we do not take our own agency, right, to be able to make changes. I don't know about you, but I am tired of living that way. I have given that up, and I'm not going to say that life is completely hunky-dory or perfect, or that I don't have those tugs from feeling like I need to serve others above myself. But the work that I've been doing myself, the work that I do with my clients, is really about bringing integration. How can we be more ourselves, acknowledging the very real limits and challenges that we face, and yet continuing to find ways to tune into our bodies, to take care of ourselves, to set healthy boundaries and limits that allow us to feel better now, even when we work in these broken healthcare systems. Again, when I talk with physicians and hear their struggles, we focus on the external things that are getting in the way, but what we really want is to feel whole, to feel valued, to feel connected to ourselves and the people that we love, including connected to the work that we do with patients. That tends to ring true for so many of us, even though it feels very challenged at times, right? When you are overwhelmed, exhausted, in burnout, and feeling cynical and like nothing that you do matters, it is hard to remember, why did I go into medicine in the first place, right? What is the connection that I feel to other humans that I'm helping with? It is very hard to be in that place. But for most of us, we do feel a strong connection when we are more centered, when we are more in and of ourselves, and we can reconnect with that emotion. So that's what we're going to focus on today. The first thing I want to talk about is integration at home. And by home, I mean the places that you are when you are not at work. And we're going to focus there first because, again, so many of us feel like we would like to be more present at home. We would like to be present with the people in our lives that we love outside of work, whether that's a spouse or a partner, whether that's children, parents, friends, roommates, siblings, right? The people that you love, you want to feel connected to them. But what gets in your way? This big identity of feeling like you have been, steeped into medicine, right? You as a physician have this distinct role in humanity, and it often takes you outside of feeling connected to other people, right? You always have too much to do. With the electronic medical record, you can always be in your inbox. There is no shortage of tasks that you could be completing at any time that add value to other people. People want to knock on your door and ask you medical questions, at home. There are a lot of opportunities for you to stay in that physician role at home. And when you do that, you are not connected. You are not feeling like yourself. And so part of it is creating a healthy separation from yourself as physician, or if you serve some other role, and you as person, you as human being, you as partner, spouse, daughter, sister, mom, whatever your roles are. That person is not always on as physician, but we need to be able to create some healthy boundaries and separation from that physician identity in order to feel present and connected at home, right? Thinking about, how is my body feeling? How is my relationship with this person? Am I being present? Am I distracted on my phone? Am I numbing out when I'm home and I want to be connected? Now, you may find that after a busy day at work, you need to do something for yourself in order to shut down, that physician brain, that hardworking problem-solving brain, to feel centered, to feel present in your body before you walk in the door. And it may not be that you're doing that to be, simply in service to the people in your home, but to feel connected and present with them. What do you need to incorporate in order to allow you to be present at home? This is a very personal question, and it's going to vary for everyone. We all have different levels of introversion and extroversion. We all have different levels of where we are in relationship to other people. And of course, the people in our lives have different levels of needs that, we fulfill and that we need from them, right? If you have very young children at home, they are needing at you in a different way than if you have teenagers. Not to say that teenagers don't need you, but the ways that they need you are different. The ways that you are in relationship with people changes. And so if you stop to think about, where am I in my life right now compared to, in the past, compared to in the future, but also what is going on in my life right now, and how do I take care of myself when I am at home so that I can be connected to these people and feel grounded and centered where I am. When we are able to do this, right, we are able to get more enjoyment and feel more connected, right? If you have children, if you have a partner, right, we want to feel like we have relationship with them that is give and take. And part of being able to be present is taking care of ourselves. So again, sort of thinking through, for the times that I'm at home, for the times that I'm going to be present and engaged with people that I love, what do I need to do to take care of myself? How do I need to create some separation and some boundaries from me as my Dr. Brain self? When we are thinking about the idea of integration at work, this is a different challenge. Again, if we tap into why did we choose to do this work in the first place, regardless of what you do in medicine, probably there was a deep desire there to help others, to be involved in treating some kind of disease state or doing some specific kind of care that brought meaning to you, right? This is not a job that we walked into lightly. This is one that took years and years of training. And I'm not going to pretend that some people don't go through all of that training and don't feel like it's the right thing for them. That's fine. That's a different question. But assuming that you feel connection to the work that you do, what is it that you need in order to feel present and connected to yourself and the people around you when you are at work? Again, we need to do a bit of reflection and think, what is going on right now in the place that I work, with the set of people that I work with, and the cohort of patients that I serve, right? If you are in a direct care practice and you are serving people who are paying cash memberships in order to come and see you, that is going to be a different relationship than people who are primarily focused on a Medicaid or an under-resourced population. And that's not to say that one is better than the other. And it's not to say that there's not some degree of caring, but there is a difference in the relationship because of the way that that care operates. If you are in a low income insurance based model, the resources that you have are different. The staffing availability is different. The needs of your patients are different compared to if you're in a high resource, cash based kind of practice. Again, we're not putting judgment on here, but we do need to be aware, what are the resources that I have? What is the amount of time that, is intended to be spent with patients? What other professionals do I have around me in order to be able to help do some of this work? And I mean, like, in actuality, I don't mean, oh, in theory, I have a nutritionist, but I actually don't have one because the wait list is booked out 6 months, right? That is not somebody who is practically speaking in your world. Or, yes, we have a social worker, but that person is constantly out on FMLA leave, so I actually don't truly have that support when I need it, right? We need to be very practical minded of what is the actual resources that I do and don't have as we are thinking, how do I be connected and present in my work? Sometimes this takes a really hard look at, how do I think I should be caring for my patients, and what is, the actual ask of me. If I am in a system that asks me to see 4 patients an hour, each appointment is 15 minutes, and I'm seeing patients all day, what I'm able to bring to those appointments is going to be different, and it's going to be less than if I have an hour with every patient. Those are different energies, and we really need to pay attention to, what is the reality of what I'm being asked to do? right? If I have 15 minutes with patients as opposed to an hour, what I'm going to be able to do is a lot less than if I have an hour. And again, this is not about judgment. This is not about your inefficiency. It's just being real about what is the task in front of me. What are the resources I have? Because when we can actually be understanding and appreciating the actual resources, the actual time, staff, colleagues around me who are able to care for the patients, what am I actually tasked with? Then we are able to see how what we think should happen is matching up with what is the actual reality. I know for myself, for many years, those were hugely mismatched. I had 20-minute appointments, but everybody was getting 40 minutes. What happened was, of course, I thought in my brain that everybody should have more time. And the way that I was conducting my visits, I was taking more time, I was biting off more than I could handle. And in so doing, I ran further and further and further behind. Now, there's nothing wrong with me having wanted to give 40 minutes of time for everybody. That's not a judgment. But what I was actually asked to do was to spend 20 minutes with them, to do 20 minutes worth of work, in theory, right? Those two math problems don't add up. If I'm spending 40 minutes when I really have 20 minutes, right, then I am further and further behind. I am pushing more and more of my work off into my evening. I am not feeling present. I am constantly worried about running further and further behind and disappointing people. I am not present. Now, contrast that. If I acknowledge and accept I've got 20 minutes with this human in which I'm supposed to tackle, at least some of their medical problems, perhaps some of their wellness stuff if I'm, a primary care physician and tasked with all the millions of things that we're asked to do. I've got a note to write. I've got questions to answer. The way that I'm going to need to do that visit is different than what I have been preparing for if, again, I think that I'm going to spend 40 minutes with each person. It's important that we recognize when there is this mismatch, because if I carry the idea in my head that I should have 40 minutes when really I've got a much shorter period of time, I will always be out of sync. I will always feel behind. I will always feel like I'm disappointing because I'm expecting myself to do 40 minutes of work and somehow stay within a 20-minute box. It doesn't work. And we have to really get real about this particular challenge in order to feel more integrated at work. Now, there's a big picture component here, which is that sometimes we will find in doing this work that what I am doing right now, where I'm working, the tasks that I am being asked to do, the kind of care, the way that care is provided that I'm, being asked to do is out of alignment with what I want. It's not in alignment with the values that I bring to my work, with what I actually want to do with patients. Again, there's nothing wrong here, but that's a deeper, different question. And it also is important for us to ask ourselves, is that a part of the disintegration that I'm feeling, that I no longer fit in this space, that this space is no longer a good fit for me, or maybe it never was, right? Sometimes when we are digging in and doing this work, we will realize that the place that I'm working, that the way that I'm working is not a good fit for me. Again, this requires the integration, because I'm no longer saying I'm not a good fit for this, or trying to fit myself into their box when I'm acknowledging this part, right? What I'm saying is that this work is no longer a good fit for me. That's integration. So that is the bigger picture of integration at work compared to the initial steps of really sitting down and finding out, where is there a mismatch? What is going on that is preventing me from feeling present? If I've got a very short amount of time with people, then what I'm going to need to be able to do is it's going to be less. If I don't have very much staff support, I am again going to have to limit what I do in order to stay present. And that takes some work. That takes some settling of your emotions, especially, like I said, if you are expecting yourself to meet these really high marks that no one can really meet in that short window of time, or with the lack of help that you may have. There's some moral injury that can be going along with this. I know that we've all got patients who've waited a long time to see us. We've still got backlogs of care. We had backlogs of care from before the pandemic, and certainly the pandemic made everything worse. There are lots of layers here, and I don't want to suggest that this is easy, but in order to feel connected to ourselves and connected to our patients at work, we're going to need to figure this out. I can't, there's not a world that I can imagine as a physician, having worked for as long as I have as a physician, where you can just blindly walk past this. To feel integrated at work, we need to be very clear on, what do I have? What is the actual functional reality of what I have in terms of resources, staffing, colleagues, support, and how can I stay in alignment with my values within these buckets, or decide that these buckets do not serve me? All right, I think I've beaten that drum enough. We want to feel integrated at work. I want to move on now to feeling integrated in your body. And what I mean by that is, I want us to reflect on, how do I feel connected to my physical body, including my physical needs for sleep, nutrition, movement, hydration, all of those really important things, right, that I want so much from my patients and may struggle with on my own. And also, how integrated and connected do I feel to my emotional, mental self? Do I check in with my emotions? Do I check in with my body? Again, this is an area where so many of us have been trained to ignore ourselves. And I can't imagine how we will feel happier or better without some kind of realignment, reintegration of noticing sensations in our body, being connected to our emotions. This is work that we have to do. You were trained to tune those things out. You were trained to be professional. You were trained not to take a coffee break in the middle of a code, right? Okay, we're not going to do that. But most of us are not running codes all day, all the time. If we are running code, if we're on a code team, if that's our job, we still will have planned breaks. We still will take time for ourselves, because that is necessary. It is necessary to have rest. It is necessary to maintain awareness, reintegrate awareness of our emotional state, to be able to understand that our thoughts and our emotions are fleeting. They are changing constantly. We are not at the whim of them. But in order to feel integrated, we need to have some awareness of our patterns of thinking, of the emotions that arise, and to feel connected to our bodies. Can't say it enough. This is just part of how we feel better as human beings, is tuning into ourselves, tuning into the people around us that we love, whether at home or at work. It's a big piece that has been missing from medical education. Again, we have been taught how to ignore these parts of ourselves, how to ignore our needs for connection, fun, water, bathroom breaks, all of these things. We need to reclaim that in order to feel whole, connected, integrated as human beings. If we want to stay in medicine, if we want to have meaningful relationships in our lives at home and at work and with ourselves, it takes some intentionality. We cannot stay on autopilot. We have systems and algorithms that are designed to help us make some work easy, some of our work easier, right? If I'm running a code, I'm not reinventing that code, right? I've got an algorithm that I can work through. I don't know why I always go back to that, but that's just a simple example that we can remember, right? If I have to do my ACLS certification every so often, right? We step through the code. Feeling integrated is not like that, except that there are some things that we can do to check in, right? We can start practicing checking in with our bodies. We can start practicing things that help us to feel connected and grounded. Simple exercises like feeling your feet in great detail, feeling all of your toes moving around inside your shoes or connected to the ground underneath you. We have talked about other simple exercises like breathing or shaking your hands or things like that that bring you back into your body. Making sure that you get adequate sleep, adequate nutrition, right? That you take time to be okay in your body and present, and then bringing that into relationship with other people so that you maintain connection, right? We all need that. And it's an area of great struggle for many of us. I think so many of us walk around feeling like we're constantly just in service to other people, both at home and at work, and not feeling connected. Taking care of ourselves is a step towards improving those relationships, but it also includes having a better relationship with ourselves, being able to trust ourselves that we will take good care of our bodies and our minds and tune into what we really think and believe. I hope that this has been helpful in setting the stage as you are approaching a new year. We don't need, although you can set whatever goals, resolutions, intentions, right? But what you really, really seek is probably this sense of integration, right? We don't want to get every note done as quickly as possible at the expense of feeling like a human being. We don't want to feel like a robot. If we feel like a robot now, we want to stop that and we want to feel human, right? I can't imagine that any of us really wants to feel robot-like in being able to complete tasks when we tell ourselves the message, oh, I need to be more efficient. If only I was more effective at doing that. We don't want robot-like efficiency, effectiveness. We actually want to feel connected and integrated to ourselves. We want to feel like, yes, I can be productive. I can be effective. I'm doing work that matters to me, that is in alignment with my values, but not at the expense of feeling like a human being. I hope that that helps to set the stage for you this year. This is work that I continue to do on myself. This is work that we do in Unbound, Women Physicians Reclaiming Their Lives. This is work that I do one-on-one with my clients. And I think it's something that all physicians are so hungry for. If you find that that makes a difference, I invite you to sit down and really think about these things. And if you're looking for more support, reach out and connect with me. You can reach me at Megan, MEGAN, at healthierforgood.com. That's my email address, or my website is www.healthierforgood.com. You can find out about all the offerings I have, and of course, my links will be in the show notes below. My friends, until next week, start taking great care of yourselves. Start really focusing on being present and connected and seeing that as a tool to getting more of what you want in life. When you do this work, you will find that the things that you do are easier, that it's easier to start setting limits and boundaries because you can see how the benefits are of taking good care of yourself. You will find that it is easier to get your notes done because you see that that is such a small, small degree of the work that we do, and that perfectionism there is not necessary. That is not how we actually make our patients feel better, is by writing excellent notes. How we make our patients feel better is being present and connected with them, listening to them, and honoring the real challenges and limitations that we face. Okay, time for me to stop talking. Until next time, I hope you have a wonderful week. Take care.